We spend our lives surrounded by people, yet most of us move through the world unseen. We laugh, we post, we speak, but beneath the noise, there's a quiet truth. We are terrified of being truly known. To be seen is to be exposed, and exposure means risk. In the age of visibility, where everyone is showing everything, the soul hides deeper. We wear personas carefully crafted for approval, but Kafka knew we are separated from one another by walls of fear. True connection doesn't come from display, it comes from vulnerability, and that's the one thing we avoid. We crave love, yet we run from intimacy. We desire connection, yet we armor ourselves in performance. To be truly seen, without control, without curation, is to hand someone a weapon that could destroy us. And deep down, we believe they will. Kafka once wrote, "I am afraid of people who are not afraid of their own souls." That fear reveals something profound. We don't fear others. We fear ourselves reflected in them, because to meet another's gaze is to meet your own unfinished reflection. Every relationship becomes a mirror, sometimes gentle, sometimes cruel. The closer someone gets, the clearer we see our flaws. Our need to control how we're seen becomes our cage, so we settle for shallow affection over terrifying truth. In his letters, Kafka confessed that love made him anxious. He feared being consumed and, or worse, misunderstood. He once wrote to Felice Bauer, "I cannot make you understand. My whole being is fear." To be loved, for Kafka, was to risk annihilation. Most of us carry that same dread. We long for someone to understand us completely, but when they begin to, we flinch, because understanding demands honesty. It asks us to show what we've spent years concealing, our chaos, our contradictions, our brokenness. Loneliness isn't always the absence of people. Often it's the inability to be seen among them. You can share your days, your routines, your laughter, and still feel like a ghost wandering through your own life. The fear of being seen is rooted in shame, the belief that who we are underneath the mask is unworthy. So we hide behind charm, intellect, humor, success. But masks are exhausting, and love cannot breathe where performance begins. The mirror-real intimacy isn't found in perfection. It's born in confession. It happens the moment we stop pretending, yet most never reach it. Because to love without disguise is to surrender control, and surrender feels like death to the ego. The truth is, we don't want to be known, we want to be accepted, and acceptance without effort feels impossible, so we curate an image to be loved for rather than showing the soul that might be rejected. Kafka understood this paradox intimately. He lived in constant conflict, yearning for connection yet withdrawing into solitude. His writings weren't isolation, they were confession. They were his way of saying, "If you cannot know me, at least let my words show you who I am." We too try to communicate the incommunicable. Through art, conversation, presence, we hope someone will read between our silences. But most of what we are cannot be said. We just hope someone will stay long enough to understand the unsaid. Love begins where the masks fall, when two people stop trying to impress and start trying to understand. But few relationships survive that point, because true seeing demands patience, compassion, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. The moment someone truly sees you, two things can happen. Either they love you deeper or they walk away. That uncertainty keeps most of us in hiding. We prefer partial connection to total exposure. It's safer that way. Yet, as Rilke said, for one human being to love another, that is perhaps the most difficult of all our tasks. It requires courage, the courage to let yourself be known, not as an idea, but as a wound still healing. When we finally allow someone to see us, we risk losing control over how we're perceived. But it's in that loss of control that love becomes real, because it stops being performance and starts being truth. The irony is that the fear of being seen keeps us lonelier than rejection ever could. The more we hide, the more invisible we feel. The walls we build for protection become the very barriers to connection. Love is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to stay despite it. It's saying, "I see your darkness and I'm not leaving." That is what Kafka longed for, a love that could sit beside his shadow without trying to erase it. Most people never find that kind of love, not because it doesn't exist. but because they never show themselves enough to be found. We fall in love with versions of each other, reflections, not realities. But maybe the purpose of love isn't to be understood completely. Maybe it's to feel seen even for a moment, and know that our existence touched another soul before disappearing back into silence. Connection, when real, is terrifying, not because of what others might see, but because of what it forces us to see in ourselves. Love isn't about completion. It's about confrontation with your own vulnerability. Kafka once said, "I need solitude for my writing, not like a hermit. That would not be enough, but like a dead man." He understood that isolation was his way of controlling visibility. To write was to reveal safely, without facing the gaze of another. Perhaps we fear being seen because we haven't yet seen ourselves. The journey of connection begins not with another, but with the courage to meet our own eyes in the mirror, without flinching, without judgment. To love and be loved deeply means allowing someone to witness your becoming, the uncertain, unpolished, imperfect process of who you are. That's the beauty and terror of intimacy. You can no longer pretend. In the end, what we truly crave isn't admiration, it's understanding. We want someone to say, "I see you, all of you, and it's okay." That is what makes love sacred, not perfection, but presence. Sometimes the ones who see us most clearly aren't meant to stay. Their purpose was to reveal a truth, not to remain in it. Even brief connections can change the course of a soul forever. We will always fear being seen, but it's the only way to live authentically. Every step toward honesty, every shared vulnerability is a rebellion against loneliness. Kafka wrote because words could see him when people could not. We too must find ways to be seen, through art, truth, compassion. The goal isn't to be loved by all, but to be known by a few deeply. In the end, to be seen is to exist twice, once in yourself and once in the eyes of another. And perhaps that is what love truly is, the courage to let yourself exist fully. This is Wisdom of Franz Kafka. If these words resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every thought shared becomes a light for another wandering soul.